Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Nikhil Kumar. In our last video, we talked about config maps in Kubernetes and how it store and inject non-sensitive configuration into your applications. But what about passwords, token or API keys? You definitely don't want them sitting inside the plain config maps. That's where Kubernetes Secrets comes in. And in this video, I will show you practically how to create and use secrets the right way. And if you have been following my Kubernetes series, this video is built directly on the top of config maps only. So if you missed that one, check that out after this. Today is all about secret, how they differ from config maps, how to create them, and most importantly, how to use them in pods safely. First, let's start with basic. Config maps are for general configurations. Things like environment variables or app arguments. Secrets are for sensitive data. Things like passwords, certificates or API tokens. Now one important point. Secrets in Kubernetes are base64 encoded and it's not fully encrypted unless you enable encryption at rest. So it's more secure than config maps, but you should still treat them carefully. Let's understand the difference between the config maps and the secrets. Config maps are for the general configuration, things like environment variable, application arguments and the public configuration files. On the other hand, secrets are sensitive data which requires protection. That is your passwords, tokens, TLS certificates or the database credentials. Now we have understood what is secrets and what is the difference between config map and the secrets. Now let's jump onto the demo where we are going to create a secret using the CLI command and then we are going to use the same in the pod manifest files. So this is our Kubernetes cluster. So let's create a secret. I will start with a simple example, which is storing a database password and the username. For that, I am going to use a CLI command, that is a kubectl command. For that, we can use kubectl create secret and generic and the secret name, which is db-secret. And similar to the config map, here also I am going to use a from literal and I am passing the key value pair here, where the key is username and value is admin. Similar to the username, I am going to pass the password. For that as well, I am going to use a from -literal equal to password equal to secret 123. Now the secret got created. If we use the command kubectl get secret, we can see our secret got created, and this particular secret is having two keys, that is username and password. Now if we describe it, so for that you can use kubectl describe secret and the secret name. As you can see, we only see the information about the keys, but it's not showing any actual values of those keys, and they are base64 encoded. And if you want to see the YAML file for this, we can use a command kubectl get secret and the secret name with -o YAML. So this shows the actual secret in the YAML format. And notice the value in this particular data section, the values are base64 encoded. And if you want to decode them, you can use the echo command with the base64. So for that, what I can do, I can run echo and the value and pipe symbol with the base64 and use -- decode. Here we can see the password which we have passed via the CLI command, that is secret 123. Similar to this, if I run the same command with the different value for the username, and at last we have a equal to, we can see the admin is the username, which is the same thing which we have passed via CLI. So Kubernetes doesn't store secret as a plain text. By default, it just encodes them. But here, secret alone don't do much. You need to inject them into your application. Just like config maps, you can use them as an environment variable or mount them as a files. So let's create one pod manifest file where we are going to inject the secret. So I have already created a manifest file here. So the file name is secret pod.yml. If you see, this is the pod manifest file. Till here is just a normal or simple manifest file which we used to create in our previous video. And if you remember, in my commands and environment variables, I use the environment keyword over there as well. This particular pod will run the Nginx application inside the container, and you will be having an environment variable that is a db user and the db pass. And so how we are passing the secret in this? So let's try to understand here. So here we can see env, that is environment variable. So we are injecting the environment variables here. And here if you see value from and the secret key reference, which is a db-secret. It fetched the values from our db secret which we have created. So basically we are creating an environment variable that is a db user, which fetching the username from the secret. So we are fetching up the value from secret key reference, and we are giving the name that is a db-secret, that is a secret name, and the key of that particular secret, that is username. Similar to this, we have a password stored into the secret. So for that we have a different block for the different password variable. For that we are specifying the name, that is a db_pass, and here also we are specifying the value from secret key reference and the secret name and the key name. This is just like a setting environment variable, only this time they are coming directly from the secret. Let's try to create this pod. kubectl create -f secret pod.yml, and pod got created. If we see kubectl get pod, the pod is getting created and it's running now. And if we describe this, describe pod secret -demo, it's demo. So these are the information for the events, and if we scroll a little bit up, we can see these are the environment variable which is being passed by the secret, that is db-secret. We won't be able to see the information here because we are getting those information from the db-secret. So just now we have created a pod manifest file and passing the environment variable via the secret. But environment variables aren't always the best option, especially if your app expects credentials as file, or if you want to avoid them showing up in process list. In that case, you can mount secrets directly as files inside your container. The similar thing we have did with the config map. We have mounted the config map as a volume mount point in the pod. So we are going to do the same with the secret. For that we have a manifest file, that is secret vol-pod.yml. So this is the same structure of the pod manifest file which we use for the config map. Instead of the config map, here we are going to use a secret. So if you see till here, it's the similar thing which we use to create a pod with a single container. So below that we have a volume mount. It attaches the storage to the container, and below that we can see the mount path. It is a location inside the container where secret will be mounted, and here you can see it's a read only true. That means secrets are mounted as a read only for the safety purpose. Below that we have a volume section, and inside that we are specifying the secret information, and here we are specifying the secret and the secret name, that is db-secret, and it mount data from the db-secret to this particular mount path. So with this particular setup, Kubernetes will mount each key of the secret as a file inside the /etc/secret-data. So you will see two files, username and the password, with their content as a value. So let's create this particular pod. So kubectl create -f secret vol-pod.yml. The pod got created. Let's say this. The pod is in the running state. Now if you want to see the information in that particular mount point, we can get into the container. For that we can use kubectl exec-it and the pod name, that is secret-volume-demo, and -f and the command. Here I am giving the bin/bash. So it will open a shell for us. So inside that I can run ls-l and the mount point, that is etc secret hyphen data. So as you can see, we have two files, that is password and the username. And if we are going to like cat slash etc secret hyphen data slash password. So this is the same password which we have stored in the secret. So this is the actual value we stored earlier in our secret. This proves that Kubernetes automatically mount each secret key as a separate file inside the container. This approach is super handy for apps that read credentials from the file instead of environment variables. It also keeps things more secure and isolated. So whether you inject secrets as environment variables or mount them as a files, Kubernetes gives you flexible and secure ways to get sensitive data into your container. Now let's understand with the help of visual diagram. So here's a quick visual representation of how this works behind the scene. So we start with a Kubernetes secret called db-secret, which stores the username and the password, just like we did with the CLI command, that is kubectl create secret. Then in the pod specification, we define a volume of type secret that refers to that particular secret. And that particular volume called secret-volume is then mounted into the container as a file system. And at the runtime, Kubernetes automatically creates a files under the /etc /secret-data mount point, which we have specified in the manifest file. And one file is being created for each key in the secret. So just now we saw we have two keys, that is username and the password. Similarly, two files has been created into the container mount point. And finally, container reads those files, for example, /etc /secrets-data /username and the password to get the credentials of the database. So far we have seen how to use secret directly inside pods, either as environment variables or mounted as a file. But in the real world workloads, you won't be running standalone pods manually. Instead, you will be likely use deployments, which manages your pod automatically, handles scaling and ensures self-healing. So let's see how we can inject the secret inside a deployment manifest file. So let's jump back to our console. So here I have already created a file for the deployment. So if you remember my deployment video, this spec looks familiar till here. The only difference here is instead of each variable separately, we are using the environment from, getting an environment from the secret, and here we are referencing to the secret, that is db-secret, and it's going to load the whole secret at once. So let's apply this and see how Kubernetes passes the secret to the pod inside the deployment. So let me apply this, kubectl apply -f secret-deploy.yml. The deployment got created, kubectl deploy. The deployment is running with 2 replicas. So kubectl get pod, and we can see 2 pods are running. Now let's check the environment variables inside the pod. So for that we can run a command inside a container. So let me clear out the screen. First capture the name of the pod, kubectl get pod, and then run the command inside the container. So for that we can run the kubectl exec command. So kubectl exec -it and the pod name, and we are going to run the command, that is env and grep for username and the password with -e, that is username and password. Oh, it's a typo over there. And we can see the information, that is password and the username, which is being captured by the deployment using the secret which we just created just now. So this makes managing secret at scale much easier because your deployment handle multiple pods automatically, and all of them get the same environment variables from the secret. So if I'm going to run the same command with a different pod, so let me remove this. So just now I used the L7RH. I'm going to use another one. If I hit the enter, so I'm going to get the same thing because deployment is managing these things at the backend. Now that you know how to use secrets with pod and deployments both, let's quickly look at some best practices, because using secrets securely is just as important as using them correctly. So never commit secret YAML files with real password or tokens in Git. Always use placeholder or sealed secrets instead. Enable Kubernetes encryption at rest. So even if someone gets access to etcd, they can't read your secrets in the plain text. For production workloads, offload sensitive data to external secret managers like HashiCorp Vault, AWS Secret Manager or external secrets operator. And finally, rotate secrets regularly. Don't hardcode and forget. Credentials age quickly and rotation keep your system safer. So that's how Kubernetes secrets work. Think of them as the secure sibling of config maps. Together, config maps and secrets give you a flexible and secure way to manage configuration in your cluster. And if you haven't watched my config map videos, go check it out now. And if you found this video helpful, hit like, share it with your friends and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.